This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Welcome to the Easthampton City Council meeting for Wednesday, September 3rd, 2025. The meeting tonight is being recorded and broadcast by eMedia on Charter Channel 193 and live streaming on their webpage, easthamptonmedia.org. Councilors and participants in this meeting are gathering hybrid on the order extended until June 30, 2027, allowing us to do so. I remind both the members of the City Council and the public participating remotely to remain muted until recognized by the City Council President. Also, for the members of the public, please remove your camera for the duration of the meeting unless you are participating in the public speak or in the public hearing. Thank you. The meeting is now called to order. Mary Ann?
Peg Coniff.
I'm here.
Connie Denham.
Here.
Salem Derby.
Present.
Felicia Jadzik.
Here.
JP Kwasinski.
Here.
Tom Peak.
Here.
Brad Riley.
Here.
Tamara Smith.
Here.
JT Terrell.
Here.
At this time, we'd like to take a moment of silence to gather our thoughts. And stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will do my best to accomplish. We have minutes. Mary Ann, from the last meeting,
August 6th.
August 6th.
Motion to approve the minutes of August 6th.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. We now turn to public speak. At this time, anyone has the opportunity to bring us any thoughts about virtually anything. And we're here to listen. And we normally do not comment on anything that you bring to us. So don't be offended by that. We are taking notes. If you want to email us or call us later or leave us a little note with your number, any one of us would be happy to respond to your concerns and talk with you personally. In fact, so many times somebody comes up and says something and I wish I had their phone number or their email, I would contact them. So please feel free to go to the podium, anyone in the room, for public speak. You have up till 3 minutes to do so. We do have 6:15 for the public hearing. Please identify yourself, where you live.
Darlene Orvieto, Mutter Street. Just a little something I'd like to point out. I know there's always this ridiculous argument over whether or not we are a democracy or a republic. Take notice to the Pledge of Allegiance. What do you pledge to? The Republic. Thank you.
Carolyn Cushing, Main Street, Precinct 4. I'm disturbed that interim Mayor Derby created a policy to allow for a new surveillance camera to be placed at the Payson Cottage intersection, despite public speaking against this camera 6 months ago when it was proposed, is my understanding. I'm grateful to the public and other city officials who I believe have now stopped the camera from being installed, so not a good idea. I worry that the policy remains in place, waiting. Wherever possible, we must resist surveillance that can be weaponized against vulnerable communities, and truthfully, any and all of us. For example, the Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE budget was just expanded to such a degree that it now ranks among the top militaries of the world. I have a visual here. It's equal to the 17th military. It has more money than the military of Turkey and Spain. To justify their continued existence, ICE will need to be fed data to find and violently abduct more and more people across the country and here in Easthampton. They will be looking for pretexts of broken taillights. They will track people. They will move on to others demonized by the current administration. ICE is already here. I am now going to put on my former Easthampton Poet Laureate hat and conclude with a short poem about this topic. I saw all this in the city. The title, Monsters, from the Latin, monstrum, means omen. The masked arrive early when the light is faint, snap the wrists of men in work t-shirts, push them into cars, unmarked, heading toward the unknown. Haze, grays, stars, and stripes hung over the pond. The small ash of burnt trees fills our throats with their ghosts. 2 blocks away, I sleep poorly, am chased by monsters, not mythic, just men, some women too, in their masks, some hope in that, there's shame behind the hiding and fear, at least a little. Heron hunts the neon green pond, can't read the sign that says it's a beautiful poison. But I'm a monster too, and my neighbors, our eyes bloated from sobs ground into the streets we run, our mouths limbed with little needles, clacking over our phones, securing ice onto the camouflage vest stretched over their chests. The edge of the moon, so beautifully rounded in smoke, even the night is on fire. Applause pits close windows as spectators cheer this monster or that, see the game, not the warning. They go to bed, forget they are the greater number, and with monsters in the streets, more things are possible than usual. When they place a veil over the clock tower, time becomes a black circle. We no longer see its hands. The words, more things are possible than usual, are from the historian Timothy Schneider, talking about the uncertainty of our times and that they can go either way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Eileen Roisman. I live at 17 Adams Street, and I want to give an update on what's going on with our situation with Hurricane Properties trying to raise our rents. I have a little good news. So we had a rally and a town hall in July, and we were very appreciative of the city council's support. And after that, they took down their website, and it's still not back up. In early August, we had a press conference at the post office to emphasize the fact that they're not a local company and that we have to send them mail. We send them stacks and stacks of mail. And around the same time, they offered to discuss a rent adjustment. So we met with the CEO of the company, and he offered $75 increase over the rent that we were paying when they bought the building, which is a huge difference. For me, the increase would have been $250. But we don't all pay the same amount of rent, so we countered with a percentage that would be more equitable, and we're waiting to hear back from them. So, you know, the support has been incredible, and the action, the collective action, has been effective. But there are other tenants in other buildings that are still fighting. We are all in solidarity. We're all supporting each other. I know the folks at Pleasant View are dealing with a lot of stuff now too, and there's a group at one of the Pine Valley properties that's now organizing as well against their landlords, and they are local. So I just wanted, again, to reiterate how grateful we are for the council's support, and this is affecting everybody, and you know, we're hoping for the best. And I'll come back and I'll let you know how it goes. Thanks.
Thank you for the update.
My name is Carl Prawl, 22 Gaston, underline farm 15 Torrey. I wanted to address the license plate reader as well, maybe with a slightly different take from it. But for one, we don't need a license plate reader. We don't need more surveillance in Easthampton. We can already see around us the surveillance state expanding, and if the data's there, somebody's gonna get it. And what is the best case scenario? We catch somebody doing some property crime, versus what, plus the expense. We don't need a license plate reader. However, I want to thank our interim mayor for giving the revelation that we even had one installed over that intersection. But I think moving forward, as opposed to looking at who is responsible for it being there, we need to look at why we have it, why we need that kind of technology in our town, why we need to be storing that kind of data of the movement of our population and citizens. The upside is very small and the downside is huge. We see it every day with flock cameras. We see it every day with bell cameras. We see the National Criminal Information Center utilizing all of this data out there to go after legal residents, but now deemed illegal aliens in our communities. We need to be very careful about how we expand our surveillance state. Thank you.
Anyone else in the room? Darlene, back again.
Yes, I am. So I just want people to understand that those readers, like the one at the bottom of the mountain and the one right in town, they do more than read a license plate. They can see the whole interior of your car. And I also want to remind you that those are actually pushed by our I'm going to say it, our corrupt government in Massachusetts, our corrupt Democratic government in Massachusetts. ICE is here because of the mess created by the last administration. And they're only covering because they're being attacked by unhinged people. That's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we'd like to put a hold on the public speak for a moment. I would like to move to the oath of office. We have firefighter Nicole Thornton, to be sworn in tonight by interim Mayor Derby. I see the chief. I see the firefighter.
Yes.
Chief, would you mind commenting?
Yeah, absolutely. Very briefly, number one, good evening and thank you, City Council and interim Mayor. This is an exciting time. It's an exciting time to bring forward one of our new employees for the Easthampton Fire Department, Nicole Thornton. Nicole is not new to Easthampton Fire. Well over a year ago, Nicole was going through her paramedic program at Greenfield Community College, and along with Greenfield Community College and two other institutional organizations, we have affiliation agreements to allow their students to come and work with our talented paramedics to be mentored and precepted as they go through their paramedic certification and training. So we met Nicole through that process. She did had a wonderful experience. When we opened up the application, she applied and certainly excelled going through that process. I want to thank the mayor and city council, the public safety committee members of city council for being part of that interview process as well. And it's always wonderful to bring our employees forward before all of you. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mayor Derby.
Nicole, I'm working multiple jobs right now. I didn't have time to get really dressed up, so this is what you get. I'm sorry. Please repeat after me. I, Nicole Thornton, do solemnly swear.
I, Nicole Thornton, do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully and impartially. Discharge and perform the duties incumbent upon me as a firefighter for the city of Easthampton.
Discharge and perform the duties incumbent upon me as a firefighter for the city of Easthampton.
According to the best of my knowledge and abilities.
According to the best of my knowledge and abilities.
Agreeably to the rules and regulations of the Constitution of the United States of America.
Agreeably to the rules and regulations of the Constitution of the United States of America.
The laws of the Commonwealth.
The laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
And the city of Easthampton.
And the city of Easthampton.
Congratulations. Welcome to Easthampton.
And again, thank you everyone for your continued support. This obviously fills one of our two vacancies. We have one more vacancy. The application period for that last vacancy closes tomorrow, and we'll be working with the HR department, the mayor's office, and the city public safety committee to put forward a interview panel and bring that next candidate forward to all of you. So thank you all.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Got a sign to make it official.
Congratulations, firefighters.
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion to open up the public hearings. The public speak will be on hold until after the public hearings. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. This public hearing is now open. We have before us several matters of finance, and we'll turn the microphone over to Councilor Peak.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President, or President, what's the, Mr. President, is that the way? Okay, cool.
You're the mayor, so.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. Yes, so the first one, we have five finance matters before us this evening. The first one is a request for a supplemental appropriation for $699,985 for Main Street reconstruction design funding for capital stabilization. So the idea here is that this would fund the design for the reconstruction of Main Street from Northampton to Park Street, which is a big project that's been ongoing for a long time, with the idea that they're looking to get funding from MassDOT to do the construction in 2028. And so there's a number of steps to this, and the hope is that a lot of the final work will be funded by the state, but we've got to pay for the design, for this share of the design work to make it happen. So Director Nettleman is here if anyone has any questions, but the City Council Finance Committee voted 3-0 to approve this appropriation.
Seeing no questions?
Cool. Anyone have any questions? Otherwise, I'll just
Wanted to offer, yeah, why don't you come up in case there are questions on any. You should feel free to speak should you care to.
Sure.
And otherwise, we'll just move on.
Well, good evening, everyone. Greg Nettleman, Director of Public Works for the city. Just to elaborate on Councilor Peak's comments. So what this funding is going to do is eventually unlock about $9 million in transportation improvement program funding to rehabilitate our Main Street from Park Street to to Northampton Street. So really the entire Main Street corridor. That'll include water and sewer upgrades. And we have a design under review right now with Mass DOT that we should have back in October. We're at the 25% design stage at this point. And we've put forward a design that I feel really preserves the character of Easthampton's down of Main Street and makes some significant pedestrian safety improvements and it's just gonna make the entire area a lot safer for everyone. People driving through, people trying to cross the street, accessing local businesses. So looking forward to getting this project to construction in 2028. And this funding will really help keep it online in the TIP program for us to stay in our slot for the funding in that year. We recently funded the rehabilitation of Union Street through the same process. Takes several years to get into the TIP process and then keep your spot through the design. It's no small task. So we're working hard to stay on track. So appreciate the council considering the funding appropriation tonight.
If there are no further questions, I would entertain a motion.
Questions from the public?
From the public.
Public hearing.
Is there anyone in the audience here that has questions about this project or about the expenditure? In the audience, in the online? Certainly would offer that opportunity to anyone online. I don't see any hands, or I need just, nope. Okay. No comments.
Go ahead. So I'm going to make the following request in the form of a motion. Request is hereby made for approval of the following appropriation. Amount requested $699,985 to be transferred from capital stabilization, $699,985, to be transferred to Main Street redesign, transfer in from trust, $699,985. The amount requested will be used for the following purpose. This appropriation will fund the design and reconstruction of Main Street from Northampton Street to Park Street. The project will include water and sewer utility upgrades and redesign of the signalized intersection at Union Street and Main Street. The funding will carry the project through 100% design and keep it on track to receive over $9 million in funding from the Massachusetts Department of Transportation Improvement Program for construction in 2028.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Mary Ann? We'll have a vote. We don't need Mary Ann, you go.
Everyone's here.
We're so used to so often having to do a roll call, but everybody's here tonight, so we don't need a roll call. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes.
Great. The next three appropriations that we have are CPA-related appropriations, all of which, if we have any questions, I see Director Mason's here, that you might be able to answer, but I think I can probably handle these.
Sure.
So the first one is a $264,500 appropriation from the Community Preservation Act undesignated fund to be appropriated towards our spray park project. And so this was a really interesting proposal that essentially the idea behind it would be that it would allow us to recapture and then in a hygienic fashion reuse the water that comes out of the spray park. As it stands right now, the water, it's sort of like if you just got a hose in your backyard, you know, it goes up in the air and then it's gone. The idea is that we could recapture that water, which could have substantial long-term savings in terms of water and in terms of climate resilience, while also just sort of bolstering a piece of infrastructure that's really important for, you know, it's a cooling center for the city. It's a way for people to cool off if they maybe don't have access to air conditioning or whatnot on a hot day. So the CPA committee and the City Council Finance Committee backed this appropriation unanimously. I believe that this one is one of a few, this appropriation would be sort of a matching fund for Parks Grant.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's us making this as one step forward to it, but we're going to need some level of partnership on the federal level. So we'll see how that goes, but that is sort of what we're looking at. And I think that's about what I have. John, is there anything you'd like to add?
Sure. John Mason, Parks and Recreation Director. This is a Land Water Conservation Fund grant, so it's a federal grant. The way it works with this grant, you do apply through the state, similar to the park grant. Once it gets approved by the state, it goes to the federal portal. So this is a 50% matching grant. So you'll see that's why the request is 50-50. We should hear something in the next 4 to 6 weeks. If all goes well. We were approved through the state and put into the federal, so that was a good sign that the state approved our project, but it still is a federal designation for the funding. And while I'm here, anybody have any questions?
I do. One of the things about the spray park, I personally was hoping that it was going to say the red circle. I think every parent has smacked their forehead in that one, the tunnel. But aside from that, I think this could be a really good learning project for our children. And I was just wondering if there's any signage planned that would explain how this is different from what it was before. I would hate to see so much money going into improving it and have it be a completely silent.
Yeah, talk about the resiliency and the recirculation of the water, and yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's short money for a project this large, so that's a great idea.
Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else? Questions? Councilor Jadzik.
Thank you. With the current federal climate, are there any concerns about not getting that federal grant? And is there a backup plan if we don't end up getting that?
There's always concerns when you're dealing with grant funding, but dealing with our state person who deals with the federal process, that they said there's no need to panic on our end. So I just take it as I'm not panicking. As far as if we do not get then we'll have to go down and look at park grant again, this grant again. We'll have to look at other funding sources. As you can see, a lot of our projects, we like to back it up with either state or federal funding. So we would continue to do such for sure.
Anyone else from the council? Seeing none, I open this up to the floor of the public. Are there any questions, thoughts, comments on this project? In the audience? You may stand up and go to the podium if you did. No. How about online? Any questions? Thoughts, comments? Going once, twice. I see none. Councilor Peak.
All right, I'll make this request in the form of a motion. Request is hereby made for the approval of the following appropriation. Amount requested, $264,500 to be appropriated from CPA undesignated fund, $264,500 to be appropriated to spray park, $264,500. The amount requested will be used for the following purpose. The funding would be used to renovate and improve the Nonotuck spray park.
Second. We have a motion and a second. I wanted to say I appreciate Councilor Smith's comments. Thank you for them. I think anytime we can help to improve, that's great. Anyone else for questions from the council?
We have a second.
Concerns? I'm sorry?
Don't we have a second?
We have a second.
Okay.
So I'm looking if there was any other comments before we vote. Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Next, $250,000.
Yes, so this one is a fun one. It's a $250,000 appropriation from the CPA Reserve Fund to be appropriated to the design and construction of an Easthampton skate park / all-wheels park. This is a project that there's been a series of community activists and organizers and folks who have been working on for many years. If you've been on the council for a few terms, you've seen this project come before us in various forms and various discussions with the Parks and Rec Commission and with the City Council and with a number of other things. So it's been a long process, but I really commend the folks who have been involved for working so hard on this. And it's to the point that we have these funds are now being proposed. They would go to match some funds that would be raised by the Friends of the Skate Park group. So this isn't, all the funds are available and there's still some things that would need to be done, but this would put this in motion. So I don't, once again, the CPA Commission, as well as the City Council Finance Committee voted unanimously to back this appropriation. So I'm very excited for this to move forward. John, would you like to?
Sure. John Mason, Parks and Recreation. This one is the park grant. So
This was the park
This
grant,
is the
okay.
park grant. So this is the state grant program that we've been very successful for the boardwalk, Mount Tom, the pool. So this one is for that purpose. The project itself is $750. The park grant is $425 if awarded. This is another one that we should hear from early fall, October. Usually it's first week of October we hear from, but once again, we'll see how that shakes out with the final number. I know I want to defer because I know we have some folks from the skate park community that I want to give my time to them so they can express their passion for this project.
Hi everyone, my name is Jeff Burke. I've been a member of the Easthampton Skate Park Committee since 2019 at this point. I live in Westhampton and I have a 2.5-year-old son who goes to daycare here in Easthampton. Currently, after I pick him up from daycare, we drive about 30 minutes to Agawam Skate Park to go skate over there for a few hours. He likes riding this little bike around. There's no place in Easthampton right now that is free, open to the public, legal, and safe for kids to ride their skateboards at this time. Northampton Skate Park's right up the road. When they built that park, they didn't really have beginners and children in mind. There's not a lot of beginner terrain at that skate park. So I got involved in this project when I moved back to Western Mass. I'm going to use the term all-wheel sports because when we're talking about these parks, we refer to them as skate parks, but they're really much more than that. They're BMX, roller skating, rollerblades, scooters, and also even wheelchair sports. So you're really getting 6 activities in one park. Most of the communities in the Pioneer Valley have multiple baseball fields, multiple basketball courts, and also at that same time, most of them don't have any skate parks. So it's kind of a shame because one skate park really accomplishes so much. Skateboarding spans multiple generations. Obviously, I'm not a young man anymore, but for many people, it does start in adolescence. And there's a lot of lessons that can be learned at the skate park. If any of you have ever been to a skate park, you'll see that most of the time you're watching people, they are not landing anything, they are falling down. Skateboarding is about 90% falling down, and that teaches kids a huge sense of perseverance. It teaches them that failure is okay, and that they have a community there supporting them to get back up again and try to land that trick. That creates essentially a lifelong addiction of trying to master this sport, which is essentially you're unable to master. Tony Hawk is still out there trying to get something out of this thing that we do. He's in his 50s. Last year he broke his femur. He's back on his skateboard again. So it really is just this important, it's not even a sport, it's like a way of life for people. And those lessons carry through even outside of the skate park. Easthampton has not had a skate park in over 20 years at this point in time. We started this iteration of the committee about 6 years ago, but there's been many other attempts before that as well. If you were someone who was in middle school at the time that we started this iteration of the committee, you're probably going off to college right now and you still don't have a skate park in your town. We are kind of going through a renaissance period in the valley right now. Greenfield just got a great skate park. Springfield just got a great skate park. Westfield is working on one. In Easthampton, we're not trying to build this like mega skate park that's going to take over thousands of square feet of concrete. We're just trying to build a community park that is a good place for kids to gather safely and enjoy the sports that they like to do. So thank you, and I'm looking forward to hearing more from the council.
Good evening. My name is Bob McDonald. I'm representing my wife, who is home puppy sitting. 28 years ago, our son died in a car accident. We built a skate park here in town. It lasted quite a few years, was used by many, many kids. Most of them are all adults here now. And at some point, it got taken down and given away without our knowledge. It's still existent up in Chesterfield. Kids are still using it up there. It still has a little plaque up there in memory of our son. And we were told that we were going to get a replacement. That never happened. We were shown plans. We were told that money was made appropriate for it. We kept waiting and waiting. We went back to what happened. They said, well, plans changed. So we've been trying to keep the ball rolling for a number of years, and now we've got a brand new group of people that have done a phenomenal job of bringing it back to light again, and we're at the point where I'm so close I can taste it, and I'm hoping and praying that this will make it this time. So it's, I don't know if I can wait much longer. Time's ticking away, and I'm running out of time, and I'd like to really see it happen this time. So I hope that it passes through and that I get to be part of it when it becomes a reality. So I thank you all for your time.
You may move the microphone down. Good job. Yeah, right.
Hi, my name is Tellis. I live on Florence Road, and I think it would be really great if we had a skate park because we have Easthampton skate park, but it's not like always open. So I just think it would be a good idea.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm August Ryan, and I live like 1 minute, walking distance from his house. And I go to Easthampton skate park, but it's hard for BMXers, roller skaters, they can't get in. I mean, I don't do any of that, but I have friends who do that. And a skate park would just be awesome. I mean, I really love it. I'd be up there at 6 a.m. riding my bike over. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Amy. I'm a resident of Easthampton for over 20 years. I'm not a skateboarder. I'm a mom of a skateboarding daughter and son. My daughter's 11 and my son is 16. I've done a lot of driving around this area, going to Northampton Skate Park, Westfield Skate Park, where there was a skate camp, gone to Agawam, Greenfield. I really would like to just stay here in Easthampton. My daughter attends an after-school program at the indoor skate park. She's one of the only girls that goes there. Love to see more girls do the sport. But I'm here to say that I really support this. I've been coming to meetings since 2022. And like this gentleman said before, time is ticking. Kids are getting older. And I actually dragged my daughter here. I'm embarrassing her. Both my kids used to come to meetings, but they're starting to lose a little bit of interest. So I'm here to say thank you, and hopefully this project keeps on going forward. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jeff Bagg from 49 Taft Ave, just speaking as a resident. Just want to also thank the council. I know you guys don't get enough thank yous and appreciation for your work. Just a couple quick details. I think I'm the last speaker unless anyone else is just compelled to come up. We've been really appreciative to be working with the Parks Director and the Parks Commission the last couple of years to kind of cap off this project. And just in case it wasn't clear, the skate park is proposed at Millside Park. So if you're looking down at the band shell, it's going to be up on the grassy knoll to the right. And a couple of quick things I just wanted to mention. The owner of the Easthampton skate park that has been mentioned is called the Skate Club. So it's a small indoor space in Eastworks. And it's a private, endeavor where his name's Noah, and he's been really teaching a lot of kids have come through that program. And he couldn't be here tonight, but he's 100% supportive of this project too. They're complementary in nature. And then just a couple other things were that this $250,000 from CPA is really to leverage the park grant that was mentioned. And I did want to make a point to the council that It's a reimbursement grant, so when and if we're lucky enough to receive the grant, there will be one more vote coming to the council where the council votes for the full cost of the project. So the council will have a vote, for $750,000, and then it'll be a series of reimbursements to make the city whole again. And the group has kind of committed to a pretty aggressive donation plan to raise $75,000 as part of the project. And so this vote is really important. The committee's been working at this for a long time. So with the vote of city council, it'll really allow us to talk to businesses and folks who want to pledge donation money. And then as soon as the park grant is optimistically awarded, the group's going to commit to raising the rest of the funds. And then the last part was just the timeline. It's just really important because it sounds like this is going to happen tomorrow. But unfortunately, the park grant is a 2-year grant cycle. So presumably it'll get awarded in November. And between November and July is final designs. And then as of July of 2026, construction is allowed to start. And so we're expecting construction to start sort of next summer, next fall, and run through the winter. And so we're not really talking about a skate park ribbon cutting until the spring of 2027. And so we've started this project in 2019. So it's a very long time. And right now, I think one of the counselors asked about the likelihood of getting the grant. And as of right now, we're fingers crossed. We do not have a backup plan. Right now we're banking on the CPA money leveraging the grant. So we really appreciate you listening to the group. Thank you.
Anyone else here present? Seeing none, open it up to the online community. If you could raise your hand. I see no takers. Everyone came to the meeting tonight. Thank you so much. Let me just look one more time. Councilor Riley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I've been following this story in Easthampton for a long time now, and over the years I've seen, counter narratives about what skate parks are or what happens when they're built, the types of people that visit them. And, not just in Easthampton, but just, across our country, there are oftentimes narratives that are harmful towards children and youth. And I just wanted to say that every time that those narratives sort of reared their heads, all of the folks who have worked on this project and gotten it to this point have always done so with dignity and grace and kindness. And I'm just really proud of you all. It's taken a really long time to get to this point, and you never gave up. And this is a bright spot in local government to see so many people from different parts of the community come together to work towards a collective good. I'm so happy to be able to vote yes on this. And while I'm not going to be a city councilor starting next term, I will absolutely be the wind at your back to make sure that all future votes go your way as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Riley. Anyone else? Councilor Derby, Councilor Derby, as you sit here with us tonight in your role as councilor.
Which is how I'm going to start, which is, being interim mayor is great until you can't vote on something you really want to vote for. Because the interim mayor is not allowed to vote unless there's a tie. I don't think there's going to be a tie. But I do want to say that this project is so important, and it's the beginning of a fulfilling of a promise to the McDonald's. I got to walk when I first was thinking about running for city council. Stuart Beckley, the planner at the time, took me for a walk around Millside Park, which had just been redone, and they had it was like they were in the process of removing the skate park, and he walked me around where the new skate park was going to go, and I was a huge supporter of that at the time and when I first got on the council. And unfortunately, things did change, and it didn't come to the council. We didn't have a say. And the value of having a skate park is enormous. As growing up a skater, on my Lance Mountain and my Steve Caballero, my Powells, I mean, it was amazing. Like, it was a huge thing for me to be a kid riding my skateboard and just being outside and the camaraderie that I have with my friends, learn how to acid drop, which is a trick. You know, so it's huge. And, you know, I think that this is going to be not just such a huge benefit to the community, but it's going to be a huge benefit to a generation of kids that are so unfortunately stuck behind screens, and this is the way to get them out. And that is one of the most important parts of this, is being able to provide outdoor spaces where people can recreate, socialize, and not be programmed by a little computer. So I couldn't support this more, and I wish I could vote for it.
Thank you. Councilor Smith.
First, I have a comment about the location of the skate park, because I remember distinctly during the pandemic, one of my children were out skating, and they all went behind the mill buildings where everyone was skating. And someone put on Facebook, you might want to tell your kids to put on masks. And I just was able to text him, and everyone heard it right away. And it just speaks to how much of a small community we have here, that this was actually being monitored by the people that were living nearby, and once they were told, all the kids put the masks back on. And so I'm glad that it's going in the same location. I don't know if it's appropriate to ask, but I was just wondering what your son's name was, and I don't...
David McDonald.
Okay, thank you.
28-year-old shirt. I pulled it out of the closet.
I figured you did, but I hadn't heard his name in this context, and I just wanted to make sure that we were able to say David McDonald in his memory. I think that's really important. And I also want to commend the youth who came up to the microphone. I know that's a somewhat intimidating experience, and I have a feeling that's the first of many times in your life that you'll be up for public speak. So good job. But I also wanted to bring forth the thought that by having, now I understand we have a lot of cities in the area that have skate parks, but when we look at traditional kids sports, skate parks have always been excluded from that. And it has always sent the message that only a certain type of performing kid is the valuable kid. And so I love to see many more activities coming up in Easthampton that celebrates all youth. And then I have one last comment on the same note, and I don't think we're at the rules part about the skate park yet, but my one concern is having some elementary school hours, so really small kids don't get plowed over by teenagers trying to do some tricks, because some acid drops. But I just also, I respect the work that you've done so diligently for so long on this project. And as a parent of a skater, I can certainly respect the amount of time it's taken you to be able to drop your kids off at many locations. And I would really like to see that locally as something that we can support. That's what I have to say.
Thank you. Councilor Denham.
Thank you, Mr. President. Hats off to you all. You know, this has been a long time coming, right? And I just want to second the idea that I think we often rely in this city on organized sports for our young people. And I think that we have a really diverse youth population that needs activity beyond organized sport. And so this is a really informal way for young people to build community, build relationships, build connections, develop empathy, learn how to mentor. I mean, there's so many amazing skills that they're going to learn besides doing an acid drop, apparently. But I think that your dedication to our young people, I think, is really what I want to acknowledge right now, and also the commitment to your son's memory.
Any other comments from the councilors, thoughts, concerns? We're almost there. You've waited a long time, and I must say that the youth present is very helpful at moving this along. Your voices tonight are heard. I think you'll find that this community wants to move forward and is looking forward to supporting you. So kudos to you who came here tonight to speak, and those who worked so darn hard, and everyone who participated. It's been a long haul, or we'll be getting there, I suspect, as I will vote aye. I will entertain a motion.
Okay, man, I have so many things that I want to say, but at least one of you got me on each of them, so there's no need repeating them. Let's get this going. So I'm going to make this in the form of a motion. Request is hereby made for approval of the following appropriation. Amount requested, $250,000 to be appropriated from CPA Reserve Fund, $250,000 to be appropriated to skate park, $250,000. The amount requested would be used for the following purpose. The funding would be used to design and construct the Easthampton skate park / all wheels park.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? And we have a unable to vote. The motion passes.
Yes, in spirit.
We tried hard to get a tie.
Wouldn't want that.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Give you a moment to gather up your things. Councilor Peak, 14,500 national and state historic designations.
Yes, so essentially this one, we have two pieces of city property, one being Brookside Cemetery and the other one being the Comfort Station at Daly Field, that for different reasons, we have reason to believe are historically significant. The Parks Department would like to pursue historic designations for those, but there's a certain amount of bureaucracy, if you can believe it, that comes with doing so. And so these funds would allow us to move forward with that. For those who might be wondering, the reason why we would pursue a historic designation like this is because it could potentially open up grant funding, which could be used to make updates or improvements to these structures, and particularly in the case of the Daly Field Comfort Station, there's a lot of work that's been identified that needs to be done there. So this could potentially open up a new funding stream to help with that work, as well as just recognizing that some of the things that we have here in Easthampton are historically important and relevant. John, I don't know if there's anything you want to expand upon there, but that's, once again, CPA, finance, unanimous. You get the idea.
Tom, you did a great job tonight summarizing all our projects. This one is broken up into two parts. The Brookside Cemetery will be going on the national. We're looking at national registry for that. And like Tom said, that'll open up funding opportunities, whether it's restoration of stones, the building itself. When you get a project and you get historical people giddy and excited, you know, that says a lot about what we have at Brookside Cemetery. The Ernest Bowditch, who designed it, is you know, renowned for architecture, and they were super excited that this was one of his earliest works before he went down to the Boston area. So they're really, you know, we think we got a good chance for a national registry because of how much historical significance it has. For the Daly Field Comfort Station, we've gone around on this a few times. We looked at Daly Field as a whole. We had our 100th anniversary there this past year, but because the amount of work that's gone into it, ball fields, basketball courts, other things, Daly Field as a whole was not eligible for it, so it got kicked back to us. But the comfort station is. So we're going back to get that on the state registry, and at some point we'll move forward if it moves into the state, into the national registry as well. So that's where we are, and those will also help to seek funding for if we are approved for those. And while I'm here, anybody has any questions?
Anyone?
Not exactly a question, but just an interesting piece that I learned from this. The comfort station was like, I guess the reason why it's historic is because it was built as part of like the New Deal, like public works projects.
Yes,
so
exactly.
It has kind of a style and architecture that is reminiscent of that sort of New Deal construction, which I did not know about, so that's exciting.
Yep.
And yeah, I also was not aware that Brookside Cemetery was the early work of a master cemetery builder who built a lot of historically significant cemeteries throughout the country. So, right here in Easthampton, what do you know?
Thank you.
Anyone from the public care to comment on this proposal?
Kath Wizinski, Overlook Drive. I wanted to express how grateful I am that we're adding these two projects to the historic register. I would also like to just caution us that we actually maintain these buildings. We have one other building that's on the historic register, and the Easthampton City Administration has been derelict in their responsibility to maintain that building. It's the Oliver Street project. It is on the National Historic Register, and it is dilapidated, and we have been neglectful in our responsibility to maintain that historic building. So I hope this doesn't happen with others. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment here in the room? Seeing none, open up to online. If you just raise your hand, please. No takers. Going once, twice. Seeing none. Any further comments from counselors?
I have a quick comment.
Oh, please, go ahead.
Thank you. You know if the historical committee was made aware of the Oliver Street project? Because sadly, what we're finding is that a lot of the committees have no idea what's going on in the city because there's no communication. We've heard this over and over from the Conservation Committee. So I'll be attending the next Historical Commission meeting and I'll find out if they're aware of the dilapidation of the Oliver building.
Okay. I allowed that comment. We try to restrict to the current subject. So
Were we not talking about?
this particular historic project. So, and the reference to having funds, yes, but comments about specific other things.
Well, thank you for that.
I would just say that I would restrict it to the permit, to the current subject.
Understood.
Councilor Peak.
All right, I'll make this request in the form of a motion. Request is hereby made for approval of the following appropriation. Amount requested, $14,500, to be appropriated from Fund Balance Reserve for Historic Resources, that's part of CPA, $14,500, to be appropriated to Park Historic Designations, $14,500. The amount requested will be used for the following purpose. The funding would be used to pursue national and state historic designations for Brookside Cemetery and the Daly Field Comfort Station.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further thoughts or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Thank you.
Got one more.
You again.
I'm not any happier about it than you are.
An interdepartmental transfer.
An interdepartmental transfer. This one's fairly simple. There's the Veterans Department has been reorganizing, and they have a principal clerk salary that, just in terms of the hours that are being worked, is not actually fully funded by the budget. What they are proposing is they have a certain amount of funds on hand for various cash benefits that might get paid out to veterans that are entitled to them. Their feeling is that they have more money in that fund than they'll probably need for this year. So what they are proposing is that we transfer some funds from the cash benefit fund to pay for the additional $8,600 of hours for the principal clerk, for the part-time principal clerk salary. And then in the case that the veterans, that the cash benefits do end up getting too low, they can come back to us for an additional appropriation to re-up that fund if it does become a problem, but they don't think it's going to become a problem. So that's that one. Again, this one is just the Finance Committee, but voted 3-0 to approve this appropriation.
Any thoughts from the councilors before we open to the public? Seeing none, anyone in the audience care to have public comment on this matter? No. Seeing none, online. Just raise your hand. And I don't see any. Going once, twice? Back to the councilors. I will entertain the motion.
Okay. I'll make this request in the form of a motion. Request is hereby made for approval of the following appropriation. Amount requested, $8,641.20 to be transferred from Veterans Cash Benefits to be transferred to part-time principal clerk salary. The amount requested will be used for the following purpose. The transfer will be used to fund the unfunded hours associated with the Veterans Services Principal Clerk position.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. No further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. Thank you, Councilor Peak.
I'll take a little break.
We'll let you have a break. We have a proposed charter amendment for mayoral salary and term of office definition and establishment, so when the compensation will take place. So that matter is on before us because we went from a 2-year mayoral term to a 4-year mayoral term while maintaining the language of the 2-year mayoral term for establishing when we can take up the matter of compensation. That being said, it doesn't fit for the 4-year term. So this matter went before the Rules and Government Relations Committee and was recommended 3-0. It was looked at by the attorney for the city as a proposed charter change. It has the definition going to naming a quadrennial regular city election. Oh, and by the way, on the form, it says MT1. That is not a secret code. It is an error. So please cross out MT1. That does not belong in this. And it has the term of office, the compensation. Essentially, it also addresses the issue of increasing or decreasing the salary of mayor, whereas in the past, we only addressed the subject of increasing the salary of mayor. It was felt by the committee that it would be inappropriate to decrease the salary and was subject to very much political influence. and not something that we felt appropriate. Once the mayor comes aboard, takes the office, they know what their compensation should be. So that came out in the recommendation. And that the vote for compensation take place in the third year of the four-year term. That's the other critical piece here, that it takes place in the third year as opposed to the first year of the term or into some other subsequent term should there be a mayor who leaves and another election required, and that would start a new cycle for compensation. That we did not want that to be part. It takes place during the quadrennial. So those were essentially the functions that were addressed from the committee. I'd be happy to read it. I'd be happy to entertain any questions from the counselors, if should there be any. Seeing none from the public in the audience. Here, present. No takers.
Mr. President, I have a question.
Oh, thank you.
You moved really quick. Under section 3.1, where it says term of office, it's not clear to me why we needed to change the wording. The wording seemed pretty plain. The term of the office of the mayor shall be 4 years and shall begin on the first Monday of the January following the city election at which the mayor was chosen. Why is that ambiguous?
It's ambiguous in that there could be a city election midstream, mid-cycle, mid of the 4 years, should there be a resignation or a death or otherwise a vacancy of the mayor. Let's say someone comes in and in the second year, there's a resignation and then there's a new vote.
So then that vote, does that trigger 4 years?
Well, that becomes another question that we have to deal with. The intent here is that it would not. That's our intent, and our intent is that we would not be establishing a salary difference for that new person. For example, let's say there was, without this language, if a 4-year term were to take place at that point, that salary would have to be changed in the year before that, not in the third year of the cycle. Sorry if that doesn't seem clear. Let's try again.
So, but I guess what I'm saying is, how does the word quadrennial regular
It identifies.
eliminate anything?
Well, let me read the whole definition, and that would be help. Section 1.7 definitions, quadrennial regular city election is a term that would be submitted into the charter. It would say the words quadrennial regular city election shall mean the regular city election held every 4 years in November, just prior to the mayor's regular term of office, at which the mayor is elected, which would distinguish it from a special election of any sort. It would be the quadrennial regular city election.
I just don't know why it has to have a name. I think just the very definition of the city election at which the mayor is chosen and shall continue until it feels like every 4 years. Maybe, Tom, can you help me?
I'm trying to catch up here. I think that what they're trying to say here is that there could be an election in which a mayor is chosen because it's a special election or something like that, and that we're trying to differentiate that from, they're saying this is the specific, every 4 years we have this election, and that's the election that we're benchmarking this whole thing to.
That you can change salary.
Yeah.
And based on that one.
Right, and for various weird outlier circumstances, a mayor might be chosen in an election other than that one, but this is the specific one that we want to build our timing around. Is that correct?
That is, you nailed it. Good job.
Thank you, Tom.
Let's keep repeating it, and then eventually it'll all, Councilor Yancek, did you have anything on that? You were very helpful in the committee meetings on the subject, in discussing it. Councilor Smith.
Okay, so now I'm with you on this, I think.
Oh, no.
Because let's suppose, right now, because it said the city election at which the mayor was chosen, I understand this is assuming that it would be a city election, but let's, like right now, if, I'm just gonna use our situation right now, where we have Councilor Derby in the mayor's seat. To this, it almost sounds like once you're in it, you'll have 4 more years.
Once you're in it, you'll have 4 more years.
Because it says, the term of the office of the mayor shall be 4 years and shall begin on the first Monday of the January, da, da, da. And I guess it would just be simpler to say if an interim mayor has to be elected for any other reason, at the end of this quadrennial time is how long they would serve until. Wait.
Councilor, yes.
Yeah, so I'll jump in here. So we did debate language quite a bit in our Rules and Government meeting. I think that what Councilor Smith is sort of referencing, there's multiple ways in contract language to get at the same idea. So I think that's a different pathway. The current pathway as laid out here, basically, as I think Councilor Coniff and others have already sort of referenced, is we're putting in a definition to define, as Councilor Peak mentioned, what we're trying to benchmark the timeline for. So with that new definition, starting us off in section 1.7, starting us off with that definition in 1.7, then that sort of precludes the need to be overly explicit to name all the different permutations in which, like right now, we would find ourselves in need of a different kind of election. So that definition then goes into section 3.1B, and so that's why that language deletes biennial and replaces that with quadrennial regular city election. So I know it's a bit of a mouthful, but that's basically the idea there, is to keep it very consistent so that the current situation that we find ourselves in now is not defined as a quadrennial regular city election, so it doesn't need to be dealt with in this kind of incarnation here, if that makes sense.
Because I think I originally brought this up because I felt it was confusing, because in the middle of a election, right, so it's the way that it was, where city council was elected every 2 years, and the mayor was also elected every 2 years, right? So with this change, right, and I'm gonna start talking really slowly so I don't confuse myself. The way that it was originally written was that after a mayor had been elected, that next 2 years at the city council election, we would then midterm be able to then change the salary of the mayor.
After they've been in office, but you have not.
For 2 years. So that then would give us the opportunity of changing that salary midterm. And so this prevents that from council saying, oh, actually, we really like this guy, so we're gonna bump them up, or this woman, or whoever is the mayor, right?
So on the quadrennial election, a mayor is elected. That third year? So.
Okay.
So when is that election?
Let me go.
I want to, let me
Please
hear
go.
from Councilor Denham for a second. Let me just, so after they're elected, and then you're saying that in the third year of that 4-year span, so another city council iteration, so not the one elected with the mayor, the one elected 2 years later, would have the opportunity to increase or decrease the mayor's salary.
Correct.
Okay, I got it.
And the distinction is that if it's that 4-year term, right, the first half of that, the city council would look at elected officials' salaries in the first year of that 2-year. But in the next election, which would be the third and fourth year of them, then they would, in the third year, then be looking at the mayor's salary as well as all the other elected officials.
Thank you, Councilor Down. Appreciate it.
Becoming clearer?
Clearer.
Clearer. All right. Councilor Peak.
I'll just say, this stuff is complicated, and I wish when the 2019 Charter Review Committee was working through this that we had thought it through, but it is what it is. I do think that this is in keeping with the general spirit of what we had always been talking about prior to the four-year mayor, which is the principle that we should not be changing the salaries for elected officials during their term of office, that you should, you can have, like we did for a few years, you can have predefined annual increases, that's fine. But that when you get elected, this is your compensation for this term of office. And you might advocate for a different compensation for the next term of office, but there's no guarantee that you will be the person holding that position at that point. Because otherwise, I think the obvious liability here is that you have a mayor who's maybe not a great person or something, who comes in and you say, hey, I want to do this thing. And they go, oh, well, maybe I'll do that, but I want a salary increase for next term, like that sort of wheeling and dealing happens. It still theoretically could happen, but there's at least this theoretical thing of saying you don't know that you're ever going to be the one to reap the benefits of that, because you could lose your bid for re-election. And so the language it takes a minute to get my head around, but I think that in terms of what is actually being proposed here, it's in keeping with what I've always thought is how we should handle this, so I feel okay about it.
Thank you. Just to put another quick layer on it, I did not mention that currently, under the current system, only in the first 12 months of a council term can any salaries be changed for the following term, for example, for counselors or school committee members, and for the mayor under the current system. That we want to put aside and deal with the 4-year for the mayoral term. And in the third year of the regular term, that's when we would establish the salary for the mayor 12 months in advance at least of the mayor's taking office, with an election in between the time the salary gets changed and the oath of office being taken. This provides that for us. Any other questions? Did we open this up to the public?
No.
Why don't we do so at this time? Any other comments from the public? In the audience? No? How about online? Just raise your hand.
If someone raises their hand, they'll show up at the top.
They'll show up. No, I don't see any. Back to us. Looking back and forth, trying to take my time, Councilor Coniff. I'm trying to take my time to be sure we catch any all right.
More opportunity after the motion too.
I will then make a motion to approve the following changes to the Easthampton Charter. Section 1.7 definitions, quadrennial regular city election. The words quadrennial regular city election shall mean the regular city election held every 4 years in November, just prior to the mayor's regular term of office, and at which the mayor is elected. Under executive branch, sections 3.1B, term of office. The term of office of the mayor shall be 4 years and shall begin on the first Monday of the January following the quadrennial regular city election, at which the mayor was chosen, and shall continue until a successor has been qualified. C, compensation. The city council shall, by ordinance, establish an annual salary for the mayor. No ordinance increasing or decreasing the salary of the mayor shall be effective unless it shall have been adopted in the first 12 months of the term for which the councilors are elected in the third year of the 4-year regular mayoral term. The ordinance must provide that such salary becomes effective in January of the year following the quadrennial regular city election. Is there a second?
Second.
I see a second, thank you. Any further discussion on the matter? Councilor Peak.
I just have one observation here. So during the 2020 discussion about mayoral salaries, you, the councilor, had proposed something that sort of broke a stalemate that we were at on this topic. That instead of making one large increase to the mayor's salary, we would instead make a series of smaller increases so that it gradually increased over time. Are you at all worried that the final sentence of this section, where it says the ordinance must provide that such salary becomes effective in January of the year following that, might preclude us from being able to take that sort of action in the future? And if so, I think I could propose an amendment that could fix it pretty easily.
It becomes effective. I'm not particularly concerned about that because I think you could have that the salary be a scaled or sliding scale salary coming in. And that in the beginning, in the first year, for example, this is the salary, or the salary starts like this. However, I would be happy to entertain language that wouldn't preclude such a situation.
I'm just worried that it could be misinterpreted to say that the salary cannot take effect, that no change to the salary can take effect after that additional point. So I think what I would theoretically propose is that we just strike the word in and replace it with no sooner than. So maybe I'm kind of freewheeling here, but is the ordinance must provide that such salary becomes effective no sooner than January of the year following the quadrennial regular city election. In just saying that, it does give us the opportunity to, it leaves the door open. I understand that, I think that that's the spirit of what you're saying. I'm just worried that the, letter of the law as it's written, some people might argue that actually closes that door.
I see your point. I could see where some people might interpret it that way. Would it be possible to say that the such salary schedule becomes effective? Would that say the same thing? And the schedule could mean that's the salary and that's what it is. Or it could mean something other than one number. I'm just wondering if that would answer your
I do see Councilor Dennis.
I will recognize her in a moment. I just wanted to put that on the table.
Sure. The other path forward would just be to add a sentence explicitly saying that the salary could be a schedule that changes over the course, that explicitly authorized that the salary could be like a schedule that changes over the course of the term. Mm-hmm. So that would be another thing, but it would just take me a second to think about how best to write that.
In the meantime, Councilor Denham?
I mean, wouldn't the ordinance include a schedule with a timeline of when that was to increase? Because if that was the case, then we would just keep it the same, that it wouldn't start until it's effective in January. And the ordinance itself, as written, if it included a schedule, it would include a schedule.
That's a good point. I think that would carry, that the ordinance would define the salary. Councilor Jansen.
Yes, I was just going to say the same thing. So I'd like to just back up what Councilor Peak and Councilor Denham are saying. So as written, I think it encapsulates what we are intending to get across with this change. The ordinance in and of itself is basically a container for things like a schedule in the future. If we wanted to be extra explicit, I would be happy to back up what Councilor Peak suggested, because I think the language change of replacing in January to no sooner than January is a really clean way to do this. And I'm only speaking as someone who extensively handles contracts for my business and my day job. So I have been reading contract language for close to 20 years. And so I'm not a lawyer. However, that would be my recommendation if I were to be voting on this, is to replace the language if we feel that we'd like to be extra explicit beyond relying on the fact that the ordinance will handle everything that we're hoping to cover here.
Councilor Riley?
Yeah, I agree with that. I also feel like the wording here that isn't being changed is that we're talking about the adoption of the salary. So the actual, whatever the salary is, needs to be adopted within that year before the quadrennial. So it doesn't explicitly say that we can only give an increase one time, just that we have to, the decision to do that happens in the third year of a 4-year term. So all that to say, I think what you're suggesting, Councilor Kwasinski, and what Councilor Jadzik is affirming is that it is there. But of course, if you want to change a couple of words to make it explicitly clear, I think that's okay too, because, you know, we can have this discussion and by the end of it, we will come to a decision of what we think, and that's great for us. But this is going to apply to city councilors to have to read and interpret 20 or 30 years from now. Maybe some of us will still be here, but I don't think that that's true. Some of us are much younger than others. I don't know. But the point being, we need to be clear so that way future leaders can read it and understand what it says and know what the intent was. So while we understand what we mean when we're saying this, let's just make explicitly clear so that way future councils don't have to have this kind of, you know, discussion about what a word means or what a word doesn't mean. So I would be in support of changing the language to be explicitly clear, even though I do think it is clear. Yeah.
Could become clearer.
It could become clearer. Yeah.
Is what I hear you saying, and was there specific wording that you thought would be appropriate either?
No, I'm fine with what Councilor Peak and what Councilor Jadzik are putting forward.
No sooner than.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Councilor Peak, thank you.
I would make a motion to amend the previous motion to replace in the last sentence of section 3(1)(c), replace the word "in" with "no sooner than," such that it reads, "The ordinance must provide that such salary becomes effective no sooner than January of the year following the quadrennial regular city election."
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the amendment?
Can I ask you a question? Because I don't feel like I raised my hand, but I'm in the audience and I'm so confused, and maybe you can help clarify. We're talking about someone.
Could you hold that for a moment, please? We haven't gone to. Have we?
No, we can't.
I'm sorry, we can't entertain questions at this time. Well, please, I understand. We will do our best to clarify, but the public speak section has closed. I'm sorry to say.
I'm sitting here listening to you and I have a question.
I'm sorry. I would ask you to hold.
No.
No. I'm sorry.
You are talking about someone who is going to be hired soon, and now you are talking about getting them a raise in the next couple of months. Am I correct? Is that what we're talking about? Because I'm confused.
No, that is not what we're talking about, and
Can you clarify what you're talking about then?
we are talking about, I will answer this because I am thinking that it is a confusing subject, and I would like to be sure that there's clarity. I would ask you not to say anything more, please. Thank you. The discussion is about the future charter change, which, if I may, is a matter that we, if approved by this council, will be sent to the state legislature.
That won't help.
Because the state legislature has to approve of any charter change.
Oh, they're a cluster.
And then that matter would either be changed and sent back to us or accepted and sent back to us, at which time the charter would change. Once the charter did go into effect, it would become effective whatever part of the cycle of the election of the mayor. If it is not the third year and I hope it's not the third year of the regular four-year term, since we're about to have a four-year election, a quadrennial election, that this is nothing about the current mayor's salary or making any changes, just so everyone, including councilors, understood that. Thank you.
And I think it's important to say the earliest time this would take effect would be not this election, but the next election following.
This would take place, this would take place in 4 years from
3 years.
No, 3 years, well, it would be in 3 years from January of this year.
Correct.
Right? That would be when.
All right, she's going to.
Assuming that.
Absolutely not.
Okay, thank you, because I am so confused listening to you. Thank you.
I believe we have a motion. And
We do have a motion and a second, and the motion, I will go back to the flow for a moment, was to change the language from in to no sooner than. And we were discussing that amongst the councilors. I'm looking for any further thoughts on the subject, comments?
Makes sense to me.
Makes sense, okay. Then, on the amendment to the main motion, with the substitution of no sooner than for the word in, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Was that? I'm sorry, I didn't hear, any noes? I just heard differently. Okay, I want to be sure I didn't catch any no's. I caught all the no's. There were no no's, and no abstentions. The amendment passes. Now, for the main motion, any further discussion on that? Seeing none. I would ask for all those in favor of the main motion.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. This matter will be recorded and sent to the state legislature for their review of the matter of having a charter amendment for the city of Easthampton.
Mr. President, I move that the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. This public hearing is now closed. And back to the agenda. We were in the main public comment section for those who are in the public online. We had open public comment for all those in the room. I open up public comment to those online. We had talked,
You said you're going to reopen public speak in general.
and it is open. You can come back, but I wanted to get to the online folks since everyone here had one round of opportunity.
Fair enough.
Anyone in the public care for comments on public speak? Seeing none. Back to the room. We have second call. A second call is allowed tonight.
I would ask that you not discuss the resolution at all. Please don't take this wrong, but I'm quite embarrassed for you. This was entered yesterday. This is your opinion. Again, like I told Riley, who already embarrassed himself horribly, you're welcome to come to the podium with your opinion. You forget who your constituents are. You make assumptions about your constituents, who they are, how they feel, what they know. That resolution is an embarrassment because you have no idea what you're talking about. None. There is constitutional study, constitutional law that you are totally ignoring, showing your ignorance, lack of education, and I'm embarrassed for you. That resolution should not even be brought up. And as a victim of 12 years of a corrupt judiciary and police who don't like to investigate child abuse, it's like, you know what they say, it's like the first part of that first page, you nailed it. The second part, you go off the rails, you'll lose your mind. You go into TDS land. You need more education before you present something like that. Do not bring it up today. You offered it to the public as of yesterday. That's disgusting. That's unfair. We deserve more time.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening. Kathy Wazinski, Overlook Drive. I would also ask that the resolution not be reviewed tonight. Agendas are supposed to be set 48 hours in advance. That certainly wasn't if it was posted yesterday. I do not believe it actually meets the open meeting law requirements. And again, the majority of the resolution is personal opinion. The beginning was a great opportunity to bring this community together to celebrate our Constitution. The rest of it is just divisive and bitter. I think we should remove it completely or review it at the next city council meeting when additional input can be provided.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes,
Would you mind identifying yourself, please?
Yes, about Easthampton. I am not clear what this.
Can you please make it so we can all hear her?
We're working on it.
We're working on that. Hey, Joe, hold it 1 second. We're trying to get your microphone a little louder and available to the public to hear.
No problem.
The public in the room.
Hold on, let me try.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's try that.
Go ahead.
Shut me off.
Go ahead, you're a little louder.
Okay, are we good now? Can you hear me?
Not,
The phone is on max. You need to do whatever you need to do because as a school member, I have no idea what this resolution is. I read the agenda. I have no idea what you're talking about. How can you discuss this if we as the public don't know what you're discussing? Can you answer that, please? Can Can you hear
As
that?
part of public speak, we're not allowed to comment directly on matters that you raise.
Excuse me, you can't what? I can't,
As part of public speak, we're not allowed to interact, to answer specific questions. We can hear and listen.
Why?
Because that's the rule.
Because those are the rules. And we do our very best to follow them.
Because government is interaction back and forth. I do not understand what you are discussing. You have people standing up there addressing it. We as the public need to we need to know what you're talking about. Are you addressing this to the public so I, as a resident of this town, can understand what you are talking about? Address that. You don't have to interact with me because I don't understand why you can't interact with me as a resident of this town. I pay your salaries, I pay taxes. Tell me how. Tell me what you're talking about. Address that. Please. Because I'm lost in town and we are going in the wrong direction. Bring us back. Address what you are discussing to me as a resident of this town. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I want an answer. An answer, please.
At this point, we're going to ask you. Thank you. We'll be continuing on with the rest of the meeting.
Do not shut me down. I am a resident of this town and I have not a freaking clue what you are talking about.
Patty Cavalli.
I've had to mute the speaker, which is, and your time is up anyway, so that's great. We have someone who's expressed their opinions, and we appreciate that because this is what we're here for. And we're here to listen to it.
Yeah, okay.
So.
I would just explain that open meeting law.
Open meeting law prohibits us from interacting with anything, during public speak. Our obligation.
Does it also say that you should express your opinion?
This is going to stop.
Sorry.
We've got to have a point of clarification, point of order, please.
Point of order.
There are very clear rules about how city council meetings are being run. It is not the responsibility of the council to educate the public in the meetings that they're happening. If we are not allowed to respond, we're not allowed to respond.
I don't want your education.
It doesn't matter what you think. The rules are what they are. Believe me, there are times where we wish that we could engage with the public, but we cannot because that's what the federal government and the state government and our Constitution says that we are required to do. I understand that people do not appreciate that there are certain restrictions and rules within the federal government or that we can just simply discard them when we don't like them, but that's not how we do things here. Easthampton is a city of rules and we follow them. So I would ask Mr. President to get control of the meeting so that way we can move forward with the agenda items.
Thank you.
Federal government, how do you educate?
I have two other people who've asked to speak, and I will open it up to them since they have not had a chance to speak yet.
Certainly.
Kayam Jamrag McQuaid, would you unmute your microphone?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Can everybody else hear?
Thank you, councilors. I'm just speaking tonight in support of this request to adopt Chapter 320 of the Acts of 1987. I think that this is a proactive step in making sure that our school committee has the opportunity to present a budget to city council. I think that it's pretty common sense for, especially in light of the struggles that we've had in the past with making sure our schools have adequate funding. I think that this provides a tool for the school committee and city council to discuss the budget in a way that makes people feel like their hands aren't tied. It just seems like very common sense to me. I'm sure that this will come up in discussion over multiple meetings. I will be speaking in support of it throughout those, but I just wanted to kick this off and say that I support this adoption.
Thank you. Tracy Butler Kurth, would you unmute and...
I just want to say very quickly that, Patty, I understand the frustration that you're feeling about not having questions answered, but that is the way that city council meetings are set up across the country. There's nothing unusual, although it's frustrating. I do have questions about the resolution that is before us in the green on the agenda. I'm just curious about, I love the first part, curious about why the word strayed is in there.
Did anybody hear? I didn't hear the word that was being questioned.
Strayed. Resolution
Strayed.
shouldn't be talking about.
Strayed. Straight. Is that the word you used?
I'm going to reach out to the police right now.
That is the word I use, isn't that the word that is on the agenda? That's all. And I don't know who authored the language green on the agenda.
Very good, thank you. Kayam, your hand is still up. If you could lower your hands if you've had your opportunity to speak. Thank you. Twice we've heard from
Just informational
Ms.
point of, I just want to give some information. I
Extend
think
one
that,
last time, please, go ahead.
I just wanted to provide some information. I think some of the difficulty is coming with the difference between the mobile agenda and the online agenda. Any attachments are not available if you're looking at it on the mobile, and so lots of people aren't getting the information.
That's it.
If you're looking at the mobile agenda, there's no attachments. You have to actually open the agenda and look at it. But if you're just looking at it,
That's how the website is set up. We can't have the full agenda
but
under
I
the
just wanted to
calendar
point out,
section.
that's probably where some of the frustration is coming from. Just a point of information, that's it.
Thank you. Are we done with public speak? Good, we will now close public speak.
Just remind people that they shouldn't be speaking.
And at this point, no one else should be speaking for the rest of the meeting. But you're welcome to stay and watch. Thank you. The next. Items for immediate attention. Well, we had a resolution that was presented regarding a matter that's coming up. The Constitution of the United States, Constitution Day, is September 17th. And with the urgency of September 17 approaching, this is our last meeting before, well, in 2 weeks, it will be September 17th. And the resolution could not be presented and be available to the public should the council decide to approve or disapprove of it or change it. But that's why it was presented. I certainly understand that everyone has opinions, and that's why we're here. So I would open it up to the matter. This was presented by me for immediate consideration. It is a resolution where the city of Easthampton is in support of democracy and a call for the return to the constitutional principles that are the foundation of our republic. We normally do not discuss on on items called for immediate resolution if there is a single objection to it being discussed. And that is available to any counselor. Normally, the process is that matters go to committee before being discussed here. So I would ask anyone who would so desire that this be brought to committee, that they simply say, only one person it takes to say, yes, let's talk about it in committee rather than review it tonight. And I'd be happy to entertain that, since that is every counselor's right.
I think just out of process, it should be brought to committee, just as anything else would be brought to committee. That would be my opinion.
items of resolution are normally not, well, may or may not be brought to committee, but if you'd like to see that this goes to committee.
I just think considering the timing, I think it would be best suited for that. That's my opinion.
And that concludes this evening, and we'll send this matter to committee. If it would go to, what's our pleasure?
Rules, usually rules.
Rules and Government Relations?
Yeah.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
The motion on the floor is to send the resolution in support of democracy to the Rules and Government Relations Committee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? The ayes have it. This matter is going to the Rules and Government Relations Committee.
Can I just say one thing?
No, I will have to ask you not to say anything.
I'm going to finish.
No, we will, I will not allow for another interruption. It is out of order. I will have to ask you to leave the meeting if you will not. How do we?
You can get the 3 dots.
The 3 dots?
Isn't there a limit on how many times?
All right. Good, thank you. Communications from elected officials and boards and commissions. Councilor Riley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have two.
Don't shut me down. Do not shut me down.
I'm reclaiming my time. Thank
I will
you.
reclaim the time and I will ask you to leave.
Yes, my constitutional rights. I wish, as a resident, that you change your rules so that
I'm sorry, this isn't a matter of further interruption or discussion. Councilor Riley, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I have 2 announcements for you all tonight. So the first is that I have seen a troubling trend on social media that I wanted to correct the record for. And that is in relation to thoughts that the community has or has been sharing about plate readers. So the first thing that I wanted to clarify is that there is a misconception that Mayor Derby has put forward this as a policy proposal. He has not. This is a policy proposal that was put forward by former Mayor LaChapelle. And at our last meeting, Mayor Derby informed us that this was something that was occurring. So he did his due diligence by notifying the public that this was something that was under consideration. And for that, I thank him. Secondly, he listened to public comments, he listened to questions from the council, and he has been on the record in saying that we're not actually moving forward with the plate reader. So I want to be crystal clear that when people are under the assumption that Mayor Derby did this, he did not. That responsibility lies on former Mayor LaChapelle. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about is that today the Attorney General certified a rent stabilization ballot initiative to cap rent increases statewide for the 2026 election. This proposed law, if voted by the public, would limit annual rent increases for residential units in Massachusetts to the annual increase in the Consumer Price Index for a 12-month period, or 5%, whichever is lower. The law would not apply to units in owner-occupied buildings with 4 or fewer units, units that are subject to regulation by a public authority, units rented to transient guests for periods of less than 14 days, units operated for educational, religious, or nonprofit purposes, and units that received their residential certificate of occupancy within the last 10 years. A violation of this law, if the voters approve it in 2026, would be a violation of state consumer protection law. Now, over the last 4 years as a city councilor and the years prior as a member of the Affordable and Fair Housing Partnership, I've heard from hundreds of concerned citizens about why the city of Easthampton isn't doing anything to address the housing crisis. And believe me, it has pained me to tell you over these years that there's nothing that I or any of us within the city of Easthampton can do to help you, because in 1994, it became illegal for local governments like Easthampton to intervene in the control of rent. This ballot initiative is how you fix the problem. It still will not allow local governments to intervene in rent markets, but it will essentially create a 5% cap on rent increases year after year for all apartments in Massachusetts, except for the units that I described just a moment ago. So what can you do to ensure that this initiative gets on the ballot and passes? For starters, we need to collect 75,000 signatures across Massachusetts and start talking to our friends, family, and neighbors about taking back economic control and voting for this initiative in 2026. If you want to learn more, you can come directly to me, or you can go to the website hfama.us/join-the-fight to become a volunteer. Do not pass up this opportunity. You need to activate, organize, and advocate for this initiative. There are going to be organized real estate groups and landlord associations who helped create the 1994 law to make it illegal to control rent. They are going to use the same tactics that they've used before. Developers are going to be discouraged from building new housing. Landlords are not going to be able to repair properties because they'll have less money that they can accrue via rent, or that the penalties for violating the law under the Consumer Protection Law are too heavy. We've heard similar false narratives and scare tactics in the past from special interest groups about taxing millionaires, saying that they were companies would leave Massachusetts if we passed it. We passed it, they didn't leave. We heard the same thing about legalizing cannabis, that it was going to increase addiction, that it was going to increase unsafe road conditions. Those things didn't happen either. They also said the same thing about whether or not every single person in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts should be able to get married. People do not have sex in the streets. There's no out of control spikes in sexual assault crimes beyond what is normally expected of the entire population. It's all scare tactics and false narratives. If developers want money, and believe me, they do, they'll still build in Massachusetts. And if landlords are afraid of the penalties under the Consumer Protection Law, all they need to do is play by the rules. That's it. It's pretty easy. So this is your time. Join me and others in this rare opportunity to fix the crisis of housing affordability in Easthampton by volunteering, signing the initiative, and voting in 2026. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom? Sorry, Councilor Pete.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I agree with everything that Councilor Riley just said. Second of all, I want to talk for a while about something that, I'm going to try and make it quick, something that you all know I care a great deal about, which is ranked choice voting. We now have 4 people on the mayoral ballot. It would be very inappropriate for me to endorse anybody from this bench, but what I would say is that I encourage everybody to use the ranked choice voting that we enabled in our ballot question in 2019 in order to use your full voice. I encourage people to rank your first choice, but then also, that's all you have to do. You could just put your first choice, but I encourage you to put your second choice and third choice and even your fourth choice if you feel like it, on that ballot so that your whole voice could be heard. In many communities, when you have a lot of people on the ballot and support for candidates gets splintered, you get a situation where it's possible that a person could win for a job as important as mayor, particularly in a city where the mayor has, in my opinion, a ridiculous amount of power. You could have somebody get that position who the majority of people in the community actually are not happy about because support for the broad majority was split among a bunch of different people or something like that. And that's something that we can avoid here because We implemented this because we saw it coming, because it has happened in the past, and we have built the system in place. So I would really encourage everybody, rank your whole ballot. If you're a candidate, encourage people to use your whole ballot. And that's my thing. So that's my first thing. The second thing is more of a bummer. And it is about our push towards using ranked choice voting for the 2 elections that we don't currently use them for. That's the at-large city councilor and the school committee elections. In 2023, we had a policy question, wasn't binding, but it was a policy question where we asked people, would you like to use ranked choice voting for these 2 elections? The majority of the city voted yes. Actually a stronger majority than what we had gotten when we did it the first time around. So last year, we wrote a legislative petition, just like the one that we passed tonight, to send to the legislature. At that point, in the first draft of that, the legislature with these things, if it's a thing affecting voting, they like to see the public have a say in the matter. And in the first draft of it, what we had argued is, well, the public did have a say in the matter. There was a policy question. It was on the same ballot that we were all elected on, and the majority of people voted yes. But we got word down from the legislature through our state rep at the time that was not going to fly, and that if we wanted it to pass, we were going to need to build in a second election. So have our petition say that if the legislature passes this, then it'll go back to the voters. So we amended it, we trusted the legislature, and we did that. And it's been a year, and they haven't held a public hearing on it. And that means that we won't get to put it on the ballot, and that means that there'll be at least another 2 years before we get a chance to put it on a ballot. We're not alone in this, right? There's 8, 10, something around there, communities that since us have petitioned to use ranked choice voting for local elections. They let us do it. They have not let a single other community do it since. It is a logjam of coming up on a dozen communities who are asking for this ability, and they have not been given it because this new legislature has taken a very different approach to legislative petitions. They used to be very, very deferential with them. They aren't anymore. So I'm mad about this because we were told by our partners in the state that doing this a certain way was going to make them let this petition go through and not get held up in this logjam, and that was not true. I don't know if the people who said it were misled, if they misunderstood, if they were themselves saying things they knew to not be true, but we were once again stuck in this situation where we have this opaque, unresponsive, undemocratic legislature that that's not allowing cities to do what they think is best for themselves. So there's nothing to be done about it for this election. Going forward, I'm going to resubmit that legislative petition for the next session, and I'm going to take out that language. I'm going to say that the people already voted on this, and that way, when that logjam eventually breaks, whether that's in a year or 20 years, we won't have to have another extraneous election that we were only ever considering doing in the first place because we were misled. And I hope that you'll join me in that. But I think that in general, we're going to have to be really thoughtful going forward about how, when we want to try and do things through partnership with the legislature, we approach it, because we're being told information that turns out to not be true. And that's really disappointing. That's all, thanks.
Councilor Denham.
Thank you, Mr. President. Art in the Garden is September 6th from 2 to 5. So I encourage you to look online for that information. The Bees Committee has a monthly invasive removal. event. And the next one is going to be September 13th at 10 a.m. behind the Easthampton feed. And I wasn't going to bring this up, but since Councilor Riley did, I would like to see the date at which the camera policy was written. That is a formal request right now. 6 months ago or so, when we voted for the appropriation for that package, members of this council expressed concern about that. We articulated that we did not want that camera up. And the mayor was responsive to that. And that camera has actually been sitting in a closet, to my knowledge, for since that time. When the mayor stood up here 2 weeks ago or whenever it was, and said that he had that policy produced. So I don't appreciate blame being passed off. If you made a choice and you made a decision, then you should take responsibility for that. So I want to see the communication at which point that policy was made and who it went to. Thank you.
Councilor Jacek.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to just share 2 quick items of note specifically for residents in my precinct, Precinct 2. I know that there's been a lot of conversation in multiple different places, online and otherwise, around the smell that is persistent, specifically in the New City area near the wastewater treatment plant. The cause of that smell, which is ongoing, is because there is aerator replacement work that is happening, and it is ongoing. I have communicated with Director Nuttleman as of yesterday as far as a timeline update, and he said they think another 1 to 2 weeks. We may have to update that as the work continues, but they are working on a way to alleviate the odor. So just want to let people know that, and if it persists again, the city is working on it, but please feel free to keep me in the loop, and others in the city government if there are issues beyond just the general smell. The other thing I want to mention really briefly is that there is going to be smoke testing tomorrow in the area of Glen Cove Place. This is a way for the city to understand if there are any drainage issues. And I think a lot of folks here are very familiar with the Emerald Place work that's also ongoing. And so this is part of the work to ultimately replace the sewer systems in that neighborhood. So just wanted to mention that because this does happen not just on Glen Cove, but in other places around the city. So don't be alarmed if you do see smoke coming out. It's a way for the city to understand where there are issues so that they can work on that in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Correspondence? Anything? No? President and Vice President Communications. I do want to announce the rent study ad hoc committee members have been formed. This is a compilation of appointments made by our previous president and by myself for putting this committee together. I apologize for the delay, but during the transition, that really was a bit of a delay. So that being said, the committee will have 2 tasks. The first is to study and analyze the Easthampton housing market. Second is to examine our city and programs in light of ways to support and protect Easthampton renters. It may also include a review of programs available in other communities which may assist renters and owners to provide affordable and improved housing options. Where the committee's reports identify any items which may be added or deleted or otherwise considered by the council, the Ordinance or Rules Committee and Government Relations Committee may introduce these items as new business. I'd like to thank all those who have contributed in the past toward Easthampton and look forward to the committee. The members of the committee are City Councilors Connie Denham and Felicia Jadzik, Carolyn Cushing, landlord, Jim Canyon, renter, Jana Tatro, David Boyle, a landlord, Donna M. Capulo, landlord/renter. That was Capello. Chapello, thank you for the correction. Kevin Perrier, developer landlord, and Kayam Jamrag McQuaid. Those members will be receiving notice shortly of the appointment and are free to begin the committee. So thank you so much for your work. We look forward to it, and we look forward to your report. Mayoral communications. Mr. Mayor.
Good evening, councilors. So it's unfortunate that I have to do this, but I have to set the record straight about issues that have surfaced tonight and online. So just to be super clear, and I think I need to use really simple language here because I think I want everybody to really understand what has happened with this issue around the license plate reader camera. So again, this was ordered, paid for before my tenure. In probably, I think our incident happened here in May, so it was probably sometime right after that. I did not place that order. I did not approve that order. I did not know what was in that order. And that installation was completed but way before I agreed to become interim mayor. Now, it is correct that the license plate reader has never been installed. It has never been installed. So people that are saying that I ordered the installation of a license plate reader, that's not true. And there's a few other things that are not true, which is that I approved a license plate reader, that I had any involvement with a license plate reader. Basically, and I can tell you the timeline, I can tell you when the policy happened, it's very simple. So when I first became interim mayor, there was from our IT saying we have a contract that is incomplete and we need to figure out what to do with this. And so it was brought to me that the license plate reader was the one piece that hadn't been installed. And I said, well, that's probably good because we need to talk to the city council and let people know about this if that was something that was going to happen. The IT director wrote a policy for all the cameras in the building and what would happen with the data. And when that policy got written, it was given to me. I immediately brought it to the city council because I saw that it could potentially have some issues, and I wanted to make sure, as soon as I knew that you were aware. And if you remember from my last mayoral report, I took questions and I said I would get answers. And the last person who asked me a question was Councilor Conniff, and I remember when I left this podium, I said, I will do my best to get that information. And when I went back into the office, I talked to our IT director and said, let's pause this because I think there's going to be some questions. Stopped it. And since then, I've asked the IT director to explore, because taxpayers paid money for this expensive camera, explore what options we have to sell it or to trade it in. And I was informed today that we do have potentially the option to trade it in for a camera on this end of the building that is currently not being, we don't have any coverage there, which would cover the mailbox area. And so that's the direction I'm going. I just want to be super clear because I don't know if it's a operator thing where maybe I just wasn't clear with my communication at my last mayoral communication, or if this is some sort of intentional misrepresentation, which I hope it's not. But this is something that I recognized as being potentially problematic and brought it directly to the council. And so I think if there's wrongdoing here, I can't find it yet. So I just want to be really clear that my intention from the beginning was to be as transparent with the council as possible, which is why I brought the policy to the council and gave the introduction I did. And when you showed concern, it was a hard stop. And at this point, that camera is going to go away. And not because people are telling mistruths about my actions, but because it's the right thing to do, and I recognize that, right? So I just want to be really clear. And, but that's, I guess, the nature of politics these days. But I do have some actual updates, and I think they're important. And so I don't want to just get up here and be defensive, and I really don't want to be defensive. I really felt like I was doing what was the responsible thing to do, so I hope I don't have to do that again. Now, again, the sewer issue, I did ask Greg Nudelman to be on this, so if you wanted to ask him any questions about it. And just to be clear, this was something that was not, I wasn't briefed on this. This was something that had been in the works before I came on, but I just want to make sure that when I talked to Greg about this, he said that potentially the smell is going to last for a few more days, potentially, maybe less. But there is another aerator that has to be upgraded. And so this could potentially happen again. So I think, the city is gonna be as responsive as possible to let people know about that. So they, there's not really a lot you can do to prepare for it. This really does highlight how important our infrastructure is. And this is an infrastructure upgrade project that just happens to have a side effect that is unpleasant, and which is too bad. But if you do have any questions, I did ask Greg to be on the call so he could answer questions for you. And I don't know if anybody does. Okay. Greg, are you there?
Yep, I'm here. Hope you can hear me.
Kind of. So, and Councilor Krasinski, I imagine that probably you can identify the council members that you would like to identify to ask questions?
Yeah.
Looks like
I was just looking for a way to find where the voice is coming from so that we could get it a little louder in the room, but that's a technical area. Is it by your shoe?
Bluetooth.
We're going to work on that technical issue. Meanwhile, we would do our best to communicate and let you know what's being said. Councilor Jacek.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Director Nudelman, for being responsive to me separately outside of this meeting and for being here tonight on this as well. My only question, or I guess it's more of a statement, knowing especially given what Interim Mayor just mentioned around the fact that it's going to be another aerator that needs to be replaced, and so this will be another issue coming up in the future, I guess my request would be if we can leverage city communication platforms to be a little bit more communicative with residents, because I think that's been one of the major sources of frustration that's been expressed to me personally as the counselor for this area, is that people didn't know what was happening, where the smell was coming from, how long it was going to last, why it was going on, or whether this would be just a ever sort of fact of living in this area now. So I know that we have neighborhood email lists, and I'd like to encourage us to use those. I know that also, I believe today the city was able to put out a statement on the Facebook page. And so if there's other ways that we can just be more communicative in the future, I'd like to encourage us to take advantage of that. But again, Director Nudelman, because I know you're here, if there's any other updates, definitely would love to hear them, and please feel free to share.
Well, we still have to replace the two mechanical aerators on the east side. However, we're able to do a little better with the level control in that aeration basin than we can on the west side. So we've done the two west side. In fact, we haven't been able to control the water level in that. That did some more disruption in the process than it really should have. So it's a biological process that our wastewater treatment plant facilitates, and we hope to not encounter this again on the other side. And it seems like this problem really took off over the weekend. It wasn't even brought to my attention until yesterday morning. So I wasn't able to get the communication out in a timelier manner.
Okay, any other, Councilor Smith?
you have another one.
I just have a comment. I guess I need clarification. I'm just wondering why this was done between August and September when it's so hot and people have to open their windows, versus October when there'd be a little more respite from the air because most people wouldn't have their windows open.
Well, the cooler weather will certainly help with the odor as well. The challenge is we get up against grant funding deadlines and construction contract performance periods. So sometimes the windows of opportunity to get work done are not ideal.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thanks.
And the successful contractors, other jobs that they have on their schedule. So it's not super cut and dry.
Councilor Denham, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I just want to acknowledge, first of all, Director Nudelman, thank you. I know I sent you an email yesterday morning asking for an update, so I appreciate the fact that this is happening. I also just want to acknowledge that I know that this smell is highly concentrated in precinct 2 in New City, and that's awful, but it's also dissipating out into other areas of town. I walked through the park, and there's heavy odor there as well, and so I just want to acknowledge that I know that our water treatment plant employees are in that environment every day that they're at work, and that I think is very brave of them. I've done a tour of that, and I really am grateful for the sacrifices that they're making to their personal health regarding that. But our employees at the park are not in that type of environment every day, and that smell is quite pungent, to put it mildly. So I just want to make sure that the city is doing something to acknowledge and make sure that our employees have what they need in order to be safe and healthy.
Anyone else?
Thanks, Greg. There is one other thing that you might want to ask Greg about, and I wanted to make sure everybody was aware of it. A few weeks ago, they did a routine test of the generator at Public Safety Building. As you know, our public safety complex really needs to have a backup source of power all the time because our emergency communications depend on it. And when they did the routine test, the generator was not working. And so we had to immediately have rental trailer generators come in while this was investigated and the beginning of the fixing process started. And so that is expensive. And the cost to repair the generator is expensive. So I just wanted to just make sure that you all were aware that this had happened. I wanted to make sure that you understood that there probably will be some sort of an appropriation coming to the council, and it's going to be probably, and Greg, correct me if I'm wrong, but probably around $107,000 and somewhere in that neighborhood, maybe more. So if you have any questions about that, I mean, and Greg is the one taking the point on that piece of the project, so I'm sure he would be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions? Okay. I appreciate your sharing that as something that we can expect to see soon.
Yes.
We always didn't get in the past that kind of a heads up, so I appreciate it. So
no problem. And I also want to just, so one of the things, moving on, and thank you, Greg, you probably don't have to stay anymore. But one of the things at my last update, Councilor Krasinski, you mentioned as I left the podium was about the employees who had their hours cut. Yes. So I was on a call on Tuesday with our employment lawyer and our human resources director and representatives from the union. And I asked for a side letter that we were creating. I asked for a piece of it to read that we, if we felt it was financially reasonable, could reinstate some or all of the hours of employees who had their hours cut. And that letter was ratified yesterday. And at which point I sent emails to all department heads asking them to send me an email letting me know whether they were interested in restoring some or all of their employees' hours that were cut. And when they did that, I would sit down with them and we would work together to find a way to find the funding for that. And so I have received emails from almost all of the department heads asking for the reinstatement of hours. So that process is underway, in process, and I'm hoping to have it resolved soon. So I know that was something that the council was concerned about. It was something that I cared about. So I wanted to bring that back. because that was something you specifically asked for. And other than that, I don't have much else. So I would conclude my time, and thank you. You have any requests for next time? Okay.
I thank you for bringing the report on the hours of the employees and your update. You're keeping us filled in on that subject and the community filled in so that we all can be cognizant of that process.
Thank you.
That's important communication that we very much respect and appreciate. So
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Committee reports. Finance.
Thank you, Mr. President. We met last week to discuss the appropriations that we voted on in public hearing. We also discussed a large and complicated district improvement financing project, which at the time we got, I'd like to say maybe clear on like maybe 90%, 85-90% of the details of, but there are a few outstanding things. So we adjourned from that meeting, and I guess what we're gonna try and do is we're gonna meet a week from today at 5:30 p.m. in conference room 1, just our regular meeting time, to sort of finalize that, and then with an eye towards having a public hearing on the diff at our what's 2 weeks, the 17th, our September 17th meeting. So at this time, I'd like to make a motion to set a public hearing on the diff. It's a long, it says, summary of requested actions for One Ferry Street project via existing district improvement finance diff district, including borrowing/bonding for $3 million for 11 Ferry Street. That's the item in question. I would like to set a public hearing for that for the 17th at 6:15 in these chambers.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to set a public hearing for the borrowing bonding project, $3 million for 11 Ferry Street. I'm sorry, for 11 Ferry Street, and part of a district improvement funding plan.
It's a doozy, so I would really, really recommend that folks try and do their best to review it a little bit beforehand and get at least the basics down, because it took us a while to wrap our heads around it. But I'm making that motion.
Well, if we can clear our calendars to be there for this meeting that you just scheduled.
If you'd like to make the meeting or watch the recording, sure, why not?
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? The motion passes.
So the one remaining thing before...
That's for a public hearing in these chambers at 6:50.
Correct.
On September 17th.
Correct. The one remaining thing on the agenda that we haven't, is the rescinding of borrowing authorizations for City Space and Honeywell. That was just like, we had a lot of things, and so that was one that we didn't get to last time, but ideally we'll try and get to that next week. If not, it'll be soon. We do have 2 new appropriations that I would like to introduce as a first reading and to set a public hearing for both of them for the 17th at 6:15 in these chambers. So I make...
Sorry, point of order. Is this new business?
This new business. Normally we take them on new business.
Are we doing that now? Okay, last time we were doing new business during committee reports.
But I believe
we switched back? Okay, super, we'll do it then.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure.
I'd rather not jump around.
Okay, great, perfect. Let's do that.
All right, so this concludes finance?
In that case, thus concludes.
Public safety.
We have not met since our last council meeting. However, we do have a meeting scheduled for next Tuesday, September 9th at 5:30 in Conference Room 1 downstairs. I would like to ask for a 90-day extension on 2 items, the roadway infrastructure and pedestrian safety items, as well as traffic and pedestrian safety on West Street.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second for an extension for 90 days on the 2 aforesaid items. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries.
Thus concludes.
This concludes. Appointments. Councilor Smith.
Thank you, Councilor Kwasinski. We did not meet since our last meeting as a full council, so I have no old business, but I do have new business. I have 4 mayoral appointments that I would like to make a motion to move forward to the appointment subcommittee. So I will read all 4 at once and then have one motion for all of them, or would you prefer a motion for each individual?
I think we could, without objection, address all of them together.
Point of order, doesn't this fall into the same situation?
Same category of new
So we
business?
should wait till
Oh,
new
okay,
business?
okay.
Yeah.
Then I guess
Then I'll ask
I
you to
have no
wait.
report, and I'll put the new business on the board when that comes up.
Thank you. Ordinance?
Thank you, Mr. President. So at our last meeting, we discussed the short-term rental. We had some input from our Board of Health, and they requested that some additional things be added, particularly regarding septic systems. So at our next meeting, we are hoping that we will have a final draft of that. We will invite everyone who is, all the departments who have been involved with that to that. And that meeting will take place on September 16th at 5 p.m. And with that, I'd also like to, additionally, the planning board has set a public hearing for October 7th at 6 p.m. to discuss the short-term rental definitions that go into the zoning ordinance. So that will be happening then. So at the October 15th meeting, I would like to set a I'd like to make a motion to set a public meeting to address both of those items, the short-term rental general ordinance, as well as the short-term zoning that's added to the definition and the table.
In October, we are meeting on the 2nd and 4th Wednesdays of the month due to the Jewish holidays, so it's October 8th and 22nd.
October, so we could do October 8th then?
Second.
So you're suggesting, we have a motion in a second. Just want to be clear, you're suggesting one day after the October 7th meeting that you automatically go to the zoning? Does that require any postings? And I'm wondering if the time frame would allow that.
Oh, so it has to be approved before, so, all right, so then the October, what's the next one?
October 22nd.
All right, so then, to set that for
So
October
we
22nd.
withdraw.
I'll withdraw my second.
Withdraw the second, withdraw the motion.
I'll withdraw my motion and make a motion for October 22nd to have a public hearing regarding both the zoning changes, ordinance changes, as well as a public hearing for the general ordinance regarding short-term rentals.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do you have
I just have a question.
Sure.
Did the zoning amendment go through the planning board joint public hearing process?
That's what I'm saying.
That's what we were talking about. And we talked about October 7th being the date. And my point was, I think that may not allow for the 8th for a public hearing, but you'd want to go back
So you're talking about setting a public hearing for the zoning ordinance here. I'm asking, we don't do that generally until we have a joint public hearing with the planning board, which
Will have been accomplished by that
already
day,
happened. I just want to make sure that
Which would happen and time to publish this hearing after the meeting with the planning board.
Okay. Is there a date for the planning board?
Yeah, October, yeah, that was October 7th.
Sorry.
Yeah, which we just said. Right, but good point.
Just want to make sure.
Make sure that we get our dates right here. So I appreciate that. So we have a motion and a second for the public hearing. We had a question. Is there any other questions or comments about setting the public hearing for zoning and ordinance for the 22nd?
I just want to make one more comment. So the point of the moratorium on the hosts not having formal approval by the city or a permit, that ends in October. So that's some of what that's related to. We're trying to get this in October.
Thank you. Anything else? So the motion is for a setting of the public hearing for October 22nd. The two public hearings, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. We will have a public hearing on October 22nd at 6:15 p.m. in these chambers.
And then regarding the proposal for prohibiting the application of biosolids on municipal property, the committee has sent that to the attorney to get feedback on that. So we're waiting for that. And regarding the zoning changes proposed by the Affordable and Fair Housing Partnership, they are still in process with trying to set a meeting with the Aquifer Protection Committee. So once that happens, and I'm aware of kind of they've come to any conclusions regarding that, then we'll bring that back to the committee to discuss that. At this time, I need to make extensions to, I thought we already did this one, the Ordinance Review Committee's final report, so 90 days. So I can make a motion to extend the dates for the Ordinance Review Committee's final report, the review of Affordable and Fair Housing Partnership zoning ordinance recommendations, the City Council action requests for short-term rental zoning ordinance amendments to extend all of those by 90 days.
Second. Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second, thank you. The motion is to extend by 90 days the four aforesaid items. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries.
And that's everything that the committee has to offer council this evening.
With your permission, I'll go back to the appointments for 1 second. I think there was an extension for the ongoing agenda item requesting board committee's expiration on 9/8.
I figured that was a future thing, so I was waiting, but we can do it now.
9/8. Our next meeting is the 17th, so I think it would be appropriate to make such a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion now. Like I said, I was going to make the motion, but I thought I was out of line to speak about future things until it was that time. So.
No, this is fine.
All right.
90 days?
Do I have the floor? Yep. I would like to make a motion to extend it. I just think we need 60 days, not 90 days.
60.
Second.
Motion and a second to extend the ongoing agenda items for boards and committees, vacancies, or recruitment. It's set to expire 9/8 for 60 days. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Property, Councilor Peak.
Thank you, Mr. President. We were going to meet a couple weeks ago, but I got sick, so we didn't. So we're going to meet again. We're going to meet for real this time. We haven't landed on a new day, though, but hopefully sometime in the next couple weeks we'll meet to discuss the items that are currently on our agenda, plus a new item that looks a whole lot like one of our existing items, so, yeah. If this includes.
Would you care to ask for extensions for those two items?
Let's see.
How long do you need?
Yes, I would like to go ahead and ask for a 90-day extension on both of the items on the property agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second to extend 90 days for those two items, fund property. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries.
This concludes.
Rules and Government Relations. The committee has not met. We will be meeting hopefully this coming week. We'll find a time and be able to do that to discuss the matters before us. Let's see, the Home Rule Charter Amendment passed. We don't have any extensions. And this report concludes for Rules and Property. We also have the new matter that was referred most recently regarding the resolution, which we intend to take up at that time. Old business pending. New business. Council action request to adopt Chapter 320 of the Acts of 1987, which would allow for the City Council by a 2/3 vote and following a 2/3 vote of the school committee to increase the total amount appropriated in support of the school district. This is allowed by state law. I would ask that that matter be referred to committee. Should we go to?
Make a motion to send it to finance.
Motion to send to finance, and we have a second. So, all those, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion opposed? Abstentions? Matter is referred to finance. Mayoral appointments for Counselor Smith.
Thank
You
you.
have the floor.
I have 4 mayoral appointments that I would like to request to be moved to the full council. I'll make this request in the form of a motion for all 4. So I would move to recommend Roxanne Mariana Prahl for the Board of Assessors with a term expiration of 12/31/26 to be forwarded to the subcommittee, as well as Gilson Hogan, Board of Public Works, 12/31/27. Matt Kaiser, Commission on Disability, 12/31/27. And Charles Duffy for the Veterans County on 12/31/27.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to send the 4 mayoral appointments to the Appointments Committee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Supplemental appropriations, $20,058.30.
Okay,
Counselor Dick.
I'll do both of these in one, as one motion to present them on first reading, to recommend them to, or to move them to the Finance Committee for review, and to set a public hearing for the 17th at 6:15 in these chambers for both of them. So one big thing. Request is hereby made for approval of the following appropriation. Amount requested, $20,000 to be transferred from reserves, $20,000 to be transferred to legal, $20,000. The amount requested will be used for the following purpose. Legal costs billed for FY26. Legal budget was not funded this fiscal year. Second one, request hereby made for the the request is hereby made for approval of the following appropriation. Amount requested, $5,830 to be transferred from reserve fund, $5,830 to be transferred to auditor salary, $5,830. The amount requested will be used for the following purpose: to request an appropriation to support a temporary increase in the auditor's working hours by 5 hours per week until December 31st, 2025. This additional time would be dedicated to addressing the current backlog.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to send the 2 items to the Finance Committee. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. We do have a memo regarding the real property dispositions in relation to the town lodging house that I had asked to be sent to every city councilor so that they could become more familiar with the surplus property process and what it entails, because we are moving forward with regard to the town lodging house. There is discussions and there could very well be interested parties who would become responsible for maintaining and caring for the facility. And I think that would be important to recognize the historic preservation nature of the property and also respect the agricultural preservation restrictions. So that was sent to us all and to the members of the property committee. That was its point on being on the agenda for informational purposes. That concludes our meeting. If there's no further discussion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
That was quick.
Aye.
Without further discussion, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. We are now adjourned.